Yesterday, Robert Mueller testified before Congress, and it was a disaster for the Democrats. That's not my opinion. That's Chuck Todd's opinion from MSNBC. Chris Wallace from Fox News said something similar, but of course he did. He's Fox News. But then you also have Samantha Bee saying it was like depressingly watching paint dry or something to that effect. Yeah, it was pretty bad for the Democrats. We now have Bill Maher. We now have Michael Moore, both coming out and saying this was bad for Democrats. You know, I find it funny that when I talk about things like this, pointing out the Democrats keep losing and Trump keeps trouncing them, his strategies are working, his approval rating is up, the testimony looks bad for Democrats, you get people on the left saying, Tim must be right-wing for saying these things. Why? Because if you're on the left, you're going to lie to pretend like that was good for the Democrats? Sort of, yes. Because we are seeing some articles and forum comments where people are acting like yesterday was somehow good for the Democrats. It wasn't. Mueller didn't want to answer questions, and the one thing they thought they had was when Ted Lieu asked Robert Mueller, is basically, you didn't indict Trump because of the OLC opinion, you can't indict a sitting president. He says yes, and then later, amidst their fanfare, he says, I'm walking that back, I withdraw, and now everyone is sad, droopy face. Here's the thing. You are going to get a lot of clips and sound bites. You're going to get people on the left saying, oh, Trump slam. Oh, man. You're going to get people on the right being like, oof, Mueller is done. Off. The reality is people are going to take this for whatever they want. The fact that Ted Lieu asked Mueller, about indicting Trump, and he said effectively yes, but then later recanted, means we now have two sound bites. But I'll get into all that because I don't want, you might not be familiar with everything that went down. So I want to stress, I'm not going to present to you everything that went down. If you didn't watch the full Mueller hearing, well, I'm not going to show you the full Mueller hearing. But I am going to go through the opinion pieces from various outlets on the left and the right, where they basically said Democrats lost this one. It was bad. Like, you got Michael Moore coming out and saying it. So what are you going to do? I want to start with this story from The Hill. The Hill is considered a rather neutral, kind of centrist outlet. And they straight up said the losers in this are the Democrats. Is that wrong of me to say? Am I not allowed to say that? Do I have to pretend like I'm going to, it was great for them. Trump looks at, no. Let's be real here. Two plus years of RussiaGate investigation, nothing comes of it. And now the only thing the Democrats have to go on after this is, did Trump lie or obstruct? When Mueller says, we make no determination. So let's get into all that because I don't want to just rant before we even get started on the facts. Before we get started, make sure you head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's a PayPal option, a crypto option, a physical address. But of course, the best thing you can do, share this video. YouTube deranks independent political commentary. If you like what I have to say and think I do good, I rely on you guys to spread the videos through word of mouth. Growth now is totally dependent upon viewership. Like, you guys don't share it, no channel growth. That's just what YouTube is doing to us while propping up CNN, etc. Let's read the story from The Hill. Winners and losers from Robert Mueller's testimony. The Hill writes, former special counsel Robert Mueller sat for 6 hours of testimony on Wednesday, his first time answering questions about his investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Mueller insisted on remaining within the confines of his report, issued earlier this year. They say still his testimony provided some moments of spectacle and illuminated certain facts that could prove damaging to President Trump moving forward. Here are the winners and losers of Mueller's appearance before the House Judiciary and Intelligence Committees. Now, I want to make sure I stress, too. The Democrats, in my opinion, as well as the opinion of many other people, came out as the losers on this one. But it doesn't mean Trump is getting out unscathed. There were some sound bites that will be bad for Trump. But I'm going to stress this before we move on. I don't care about this. I was at the skate park the other day talking to some dude riding around on his road bike. And we were talking politics, and I asked him, and he says, I just don't care anymore. I don't pay attention. And that's what I hear from everybody. This is inside baseball. This is the left and the right acting like it's the biggest thing in the world, and it kind of is, but no one else cares. No, I assure you, regular Americans aren't watching this. It's going to matter very little in the end. The Democrats are wasting their time. Get over it. Get on message. Trump is keeping them off message on purpose, and this was nothing but good for the man. Why? Because the Democrats are too busy talking about Russia, which no one cares about, instead of talking about healthcare, jobs, the economy. Trump came out after the Mueller hearing looking good. So not only does he have the Democrats off message, he looks good. It doesn't look bad for him. Look at this. The Hill says winners. President Trump. The president insisted in the days leading up to Mueller's testimony that he would hardly devote any time to watching the proceedings. But he made clear Wednesday that he paid attention and approved of what he saw. This was a very big day for our country. This was a very big day for the Republican Party. Could say it was a very big day for me. Media commentary as the hearings played out largely focused on Mueller's lack of crisp, forceful answers and the absence of a trademark moment for Democrats seeking to bolster the case for impeachment. These hearings were a disaster for the Democrats, said Brad Parscale, Trump campaign manager. This entire spectacle has always been about the Democrats trying to undo the legitimate result of the 2016 election, and today they again failed miserably. They do say there is some danger for Trump moving forward, as Mueller confirmed the president could be indicted after leaving office. However, I pointed this out when people said there's a clip of Robert Mueller saying we could indict afterwards. Context is key. Was he saying there was enough to indict him, or was he saying it is legally possible to indict should they continue to investigate? So maybe Trump's not completely out of the woods. There is some small risk, but in the end, he won the PR battle. They say Bill Maher came out looking good. The Attorney General got into hot water during a hearing earlier this year in which he was asked about his handling of the Mueller report, specifically how he went about releasing its core findings. Wednesday's hearing could have been a moment to highlight frictions between Maher and Mueller. Instead, no real differences emerged between the two men. They say John Ratcliffe came out looking good, a Republican. And here are the losers, the Democrats. Democratic leaders worked for weeks to secure testimony from Mueller, but in the end, Wednesday's hearings failed to deliver much of a signature moment for the party to use going forward. The party struggled to land major blows as Mueller avoided elaborating beyond the contents of his report and declined to engage with Democrats on questions about impeachment or other steps to hold the president accountable. They say some Democratic strategists felt Mueller's performance itself fell flat, as he repeatedly evaded questions and at times struggled to hear lawmakers. He has been an exemplary public servant, as people on both sides attested, but he clearly was struggling today, and that was painful, said former Obama advisor David Axelrod. Today was not a total disaster for Democrats, the Hill says. Having Mueller appear on camera for a broadcast spectacle viewed by millions will benefit the party, as many Americans likely did not read the special counsel's written report. That's the opinion of the Hill, and I will disagree on that one. Keeping in mind, right, when they say the Democrats are the losers, that's their opinion too. Take it all with a grain of salt. I want to make sure I stress to the upteenth degree, everyone is going to try and claim victory here. But we have a lot of people on the left saying it was a failure. And the Hill is saying for the most part it was a failure. They're saying it's not a total failure. But I disagree on this point. The Democrats may have got Mueller on TV, but who cares? The ratings for these shows are really low. Granted, he was trending on Twitter, but who's on Twitter? In the end, I think they made a spectacle of something. And I gotta say, I see this as a Republican victory and a Trump victory because there just wasn't enough to substantiate the need for the hearing. And the biggest attack, the biggest gain, in my opinion, came from Matt Gaetz challenging Mueller on why he did not investigate the origins of the Russia collusion conspiracy theory. For years, he chased after this narrative, which was proven to be false. And when asked by Matt Gaetz, did you look into the Steele dossier, which triggered this whole thing? He said, it's not within my purview. Effectively saying to me, the whole thing, quite literally, look, you want to say it's a witch hunt? I think it was, based on what Robert Mueller said. More importantly, Mueller didn't investigate the origins. That blew my mind. I was stunned when I heard Mueller say, I didn't investigate claims from Russians that Trump was involved in a conspiracy. That started the whole thing. He didn't do it. Why? That was his job. I was shocked. So they do go on to say that there could be some bad stuff for Trump. So I would agree with that, but I disagree a little bit on what they're saying. There's a mixed reaction for Mueller. I feel bad for Mueller, I do. Mixed reaction for Pelosi. Mueller is doing his job. He's frustrating. But he's got everybody pulling on him on left and right, and he's trying to remove himself to a certain degree. I'm not a big fan of the guy because I feel like this has been a nonsense spectacle for a long time that should have ended a while ago. But look, it is what it is. He's an old man. But I want to point something out. Robert Mueller looked frail and weak, and that's not my opinion. That's the opinion of Bill Maher, Michael Moore, and other pundits. But he's basically the same age as Trump. Come on, Trump has got a mouth on. There's a mouth on that guy. Way more energy. Robert Mueller, low energy. I want to highlight this before as a key point as we move forward. This is a tweet from Benny Johnson. He says, Mueller is finished. Toast. Done. Rep. Matt Gaetz buried him. Gaetz, can you state that the Steele dossier wasn't Russian disinformation? Mueller, dossier is before my time. Gaetz, so were Manafort's crimes. You charged him. Mueller responds, not in my purview. And then Gaetz says, it is in your report. I'm not going to play the full clip. It's 2 minutes long, but I recommend you search this out. Benny Johnson on Twitter find it because it's basically what I just said. Gaetz is saying, why don't you know? Why didn't you investigate the Steele dossier? Essentially, they claim that Russians told Christopher Steele or something to this effect that Trump is engaged in a conspiracy and there was evidence. That started this whole thing. How does Robert Mueller not know? In my opinion, that not only did Mueller look bad, did the Democrats get nothing, but it was a slam dunk for the Republicans, at least on that front. But let's take a look at some of the criticism. Samantha Bee on Mueller's testimony, like watching depressed paint dry. Samantha Bee, notoriously anti-Trump, did a segment where she even mocked and belittled Mueller, insulting him for being old. I mean, she's making jokes. I'm not saying like be offended or anything, but she was just digging into Mueller and straight up, it was like watching depressed paint dry. Well, that's her opinion. Clearly, she feels like they didn't get anything out of it. We then have this, Chris Wallace. This has been a disaster for the Democrats and for the reputation of Robert Mueller. Well, he's Fox News, right? Now, a lot of people do view Wallace as being fair, but what are you going to do? Now, here's the thing. Chuck Todd, MSNBC. He said Mueller hearing an optics disaster did not advance the cause for Trump impeachment. He does go on to make the point that Mueller stressed the OLC opinion, I believe it's OLC, that he couldn't indict a sitting president, but I want to stress this point. This guy on Twitter, Andrew Lynch, I'm not familiar with who he is, but he has a viral tweet right now. First, we can see this tweet from Seth Abramson he posted. Abramson said, we'll see how your take holds up as the day goes on, Siraj. The Lou-Mueller exchange is historic and will lead every news broadcast tonight, domestically and internationally. And then, just about a couple hours later, Mueller is now withdrawing the statement he previously made earlier to Ted Lieu. I expected he would do this. To reiterate a point from earlier, Ted Lieu asked, you didn't indict the president because of the OLC opinion that you can't indict a sitting president? Mueller said yes, but later went on to say, that's not the right way to frame it. We make no determination. I want to stress a very, very important point. The way I see this, and it is a political battle, Robert Mueller did not indict Trump because of the OLC opinion. Okay, let me try and reframe this because I want to make sure I can make this very, very clear for everybody. Robert Mueller said they made no determination. If Robert Mueller felt he could have indicted the president, then he would have said in his report, we would have indicted the president. That is our determination, but we didn't because of the OLC opinion. Right? Okay, so what Mueller is effectively saying is that even if Trump is out of office, he will not be indicting him. He would have made a determination. Get that? I want to make sure that's very, very clear, okay? Taking it slow. Let's move on. Politico. Euphoria. White House GOP exult after a flat Mueller performance. Well, the Republicans and Trump are cheering. How about this one? The New Yorker. Finally, Washington sort of agrees on something. Mueller bombed. How about this one? Mueller couldn't even remember who appointed him. Not only did it look bad in terms of getting nothing for the Democrats, when asked a very basic lead-up question, just trying to get some background on Mueller, he didn't know who appointed him to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston. He was being asked some basic questions. How long did you serve? Things like that. Who appointed you to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston? He goes, Bush? No, it was actually Reagan. Mueller couldn't even remember something about his own career. So I'm not trying to be a dick to Mueller. I get it. You might forget it was a long time ago, but that looks worse. Oh man, I gotta say, if you can't even answer a question about your own life, why would I expect you to know anything about what's going on in this investigation? It is kind of sad. And finally, we have a more straightforward. Mueller testimony fails to move the needle on impeachment. Well, what can you expect? I mean, I don't know what to tell you. The New York Times, with their impeachment, Mueller did not help advocates much, if at all. But that won't stop the forums from lighting up with claims that it is good news for everybody. We have all of these stories on r/politics. You know what I love about Reddit? R/politics might as well be the Donald for the left. There's no real discussion on this subreddit. It's just garbage. They've got talking points memo up here. They post things from like Common Dreams. I get it. You're a bubble echo chamber of news you think you want to hear. The comments on a lot of these things are talking about how Mueller was a genius, saying the way he was answering questions was perfect. And I'm like, dude, everybody disagrees with you guys. This is an example. I mean, I'm not going to pull up the comments because I don't want to drag people's usernames. But you've got all these stories about calling for impeachment. Mueller's job is done. Now Congress must do it. They're saying, Mueller, we believe. It's all these pro-left stories. And the comments praising Mueller. And I got to say, when even Bill Maher, Michael Moore, all of these outlets are saying basically the same thing, it's good for Republicans, bad for Democrats, you guys are in a ridiculous bubble. We have this story from Vox. The last minutes of Mueller's testimony made the best case for the Russian investigation. Yes, talking about Adam Schiff. But I want to make something very clear. A judge recently ruled that Mueller and Barr himself were mischaracterizing what the actual troll campaigns on the internet was. It wasn't Russia. It was a private company. It's a complicated story, but I'm just highlighting this because everyone's trying to act like everything that happened with Russian interference was literally the Russian government. It wasn't. Russia did interfere, so don't get me wrong, right? Make sure that that is clear. I do have a tweet pulled up where I wanted to highlight the segment where they asked if he would indict the president after leaving office. Another bombshell that people are claiming will help the Democrats. But my point is the context that Mueller was saying that after Trump leaves office, if the investigation finds more evidence, they could indict him? Or was he saying once he leaves office, we can indict him based on information we have now? I can't tell you what the answer is. I don't know. Mueller has certainly confused everything. What I can tell you is that the left and the right will view these in both of these ways. It's like Scott Adams said, same screen, two different movies. But let's move on now to the more fun stuff. Bill Maher. If this Mueller testimony was supposed to be the movie, it's a Terrence Malick movie. Democrats are a political party that does not know how to do politics. I love this man, Bill Maher. I have been seeing more and more comments from him. He's calling out the social justice regressive left. He is saying what I am saying, but I'm more willing to say it. I disagree with Bill Maher on a lot of things, but the reason I'm praising him now is because he repeatedly calls out what needs to be called out. The Democrats are awful at this. They have no charisma, no leadership. The Obama era is over, and the Democrats need something stronger. They don't have it. They keep losing. Bill Maher's got another tweet here. I can't watch this anymore. Go home, guys. You made OJ try on the glove, and it just didn't work. You can still win the election, but I wouldn't bet my own money on it. Bill Maher wouldn't bet on the Democrats. I agree. And you know what? When I do, they say Tim's an antagonist. They say Tim's right wing. No, I'm just where Bill Maher is. Because Bill Maher is like a good barometer for where the Democrats are supposed to be. And I'm close. I'm actually to the left of Maher on some issues. Like I grew up a young progressive and Bill Maher was kind of like straightforward, moderate Democrat type. Atheist. And here he is. I wouldn't bet my own money on it. Hey man, I don't blame you, Bill. I agree with you on the regressive left stuff. You call it out, same as me. He had Milo Yiannopoulos on his show. I have tremendous respect for Bill Maher. Look, I disagree with him on a lot of issues. And I think he does get triggered a bit too. And he doesn't hold himself to, he screws up. He's not a perfect guy. But I'm going to tell you this, credit where credit is due. This is a guy who's still a liberal, who still defends free speech, still calls out the regressive left, and can point it out without fear. The Democrats are awful at this and are going to lose. That's my opinion, even though we agree on a lot of policy. It doesn't make either of us right-wing. Of course, they call Bill Maher alt-right. But now we get to Michael Moore. This is probably one of the dirtiest takedowns I've seen. A frail old man unable to remember things, stumbling, refusing to answer basic questions. I said it in 2017, and Mueller confirmed it today. All you pundits and moderates and lame Dems who told the public to put their faith in the esteemed Robert Mueller, just STFU from now on. Yes! Thank you, Michael Moore. Michael Moore said Trump would win. He did. He said it. He said it was going to be the biggest FU to the establishment. He was right. He's saying Trump's going to win again. He's right. He's saying the same thing now. Michael Moore, you don't have to like the guy to recognize that while you firmly disagree on all of these issues, Michael Moore is not blind to these problems. And I can respect that. Because you've got these people on these forums plugging their ears and going la 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 la, while all the bad stuff, while everything just falls apart. The Democrats are in trouble, and at least they can see it. But Michael Moore didn't stop there. He said, Trump must be gloating in ecstasy. Why is that when I say this, they're like, Tim's right wing? No, I agree with Bernie Sanders, Michael Moore. Like, listen, it has been said by Democrats over and over again. And for some reason, they refuse to accept it. Not because of the failure, so he goes on, not because of the failure that is Robert Mueller. His report is still a damning document of crimes by Trump, but because Trump understands the power of the visual, and he understands the Dems aren't street fighters, and that's why he'll win. Yes, Michael Moore, yes! How many times do I have to say this? And it's funny, because the Trump supporters are sitting back laughing, going, we know! We've always known! And the left can't see it. The Democrats can't see it. So they think they're playing checkers while Trump is playing chess. There are still some people on the left who know it. We have another tweet from Michael Moore. He says, come on, fellow Americans, Trump can be beaten. Just because he outwitted the DNC once and is in the process of trying to do it again doesn't mean squat if we, the majority, rise up, get active, and inspire a nation to make America the America we want it to be. We know how to do this. This first response, Dems are finished. I appreciate Michael Moore coming out and saying we must. He's right. We need to have a sane, rational conversation. But let me go back to, I believe it was in this video sometimes. I was at a skate park talking to somebody about politics. And he said he's just not in it anymore. And I was like, but you're the rational liberal guy who needs to be speaking up and calling out the BS. They don't want to play the game. They're gone. So you have conservatives and Republicans who are standing up and fighting as hard as they can. And you have the woke regressive left and a weak, frail Democratic Party. They're not going to get it done. Now, I'll admit, you got Ocasio-Cortez, who is bombastic as bombastic can get. But Americans won't support her. We really do need someone like Obama. I didn't like him for a lot of reasons. I voted for him the first time, not the second time. And I think he did a lot of things wrong. But what I mean is not his policies. The Democrats need a strong, charismatic leader. They don't have it. I got a couple more things I want to point out. Donald Trump says even Michael Moore agrees the Dems and Mueller blew it. Well, Michael Moore did respond saying, yes, the proof they blew it is that you're tweeting from Air Force One. You shouldn't be on that plane or in the Oval Office. You should be wearing a jumpsuit that matches your face. The DNC and Mueller may not have known how to stop you, but millions of voters and I do. Get ready. So I disagree with Michael Moore on a lot of issues. Full disclosure, a long time ago he did donate to me. I disagree with him, but I got respect for the way he's coming at this. He's coming at it honestly saying Trump won. We get it. We've got to do something better. That's the messaging we need. Pointing out the flaws on the left, admitting the mistakes. Michael Moore, much respect. I'm going to end with one final tweet from Michael Tracy, which you can clearly see I have liked and retweeted because this is one of the funniest and most spot-on takes for the whole Mueller testimony. And I want you to walk away from this podcast, video, whatever, remembering this. Michael Tracy said, given his poor memory, sluggishness, and lack of familiarity with his own report, we now have more insight into why Mueller allowed this 2-year investigation to spiral out of control and devolve into absurdity. I saw that and I laughed. Not because it's like, it is funny, but I'm not laughing because it's a good thing or I'm happy. No, I'm laughing because it is the best way that you can view this whole thing. The Mueller testimony did provide us insight. We saw a doddering old man, and I'm not trying to be mean because I do respect him in his career, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful and personal. But he didn't even remember who appointed him to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Massachusetts. He didn't remember. He couldn't recall certain things. He kept asking to repeat the question. It didn't seem like well, for one, look, he didn't want to be there. Clearly didn't want to be there. This is a backfire on the Democrats. It was bad. It was bad. And don't take my word for it. Take Michael Moore and Bill Maher. They're the leaders. They're leaders on the left. But of course, the left is completely fractured. So if anything, I can say this. The substance of the Mueller hearing, for the most part, was nothing. It was just people trying to reframe his report, which he said he wouldn't read from anyway. We did get some big information, and that is when Matt Gaetz challenged him. Why didn't Mueller investigate the origin of the conspiracy? That to me is damning. Because without that, the whole investigation was a waste of time. But you know what? Bill Maher and Michael Moore can see it. And don't take my word for it. It's not a right-wing opinion. High-profile progressives and liberals are saying it right now to you, to everyone, to the left. And if you don't accept the Democrats are failing this game, you will lose again. But you know what? Far be it from me to issue the warning to the Democrats again, because it seems to be what I do most of the time. Look, I'm never going to pretend the Democrats are winning so it looks like I'm a Democrat or on the left. That's ridiculous. And that's apparently what people want. Because when I make a video saying Trump won, his approval rating's up, they say, oh, there goes Tim making clickbait for the right wing. And I'm like, it's not false. It is true. Trump's approval rating is at a near all-time high. I didn't make that up. Trump is winning. But because these people are in their bubble, they refuse to listen. They refuse to listen to reason. I don't care what my politics are. I am telling you what's happening. And if you won't accept it, you get this. You get a situation where you even have to have Bill Maher, Michael Moore coming out and saying, guys, listen, it's not working out. But far be it from me, I don't care. I'm going to make videos I care about. I'm going to talk about what I think is rational and close to the truth as I can get. And this is it. The Mueller hearing was a disaster for Democrats because you've got people on the left saying it. Now, you can be on one of these forums, you know, in your little circle, claiming, in your, I'm going to avoid adult language, sitting around pleasuring each other with your beliefs that Mueller somehow did something good for the Democrats, but they didn't. It was a disaster, an unmitigated disaster. In the end, Trump wins. He's got the Democrats off message while his approval rating skyrockets, and they just look foolish. I'll leave it there. Stick around. The next segment will be coming up at youtube.com/TimCastNews starting at 6 p.m., and I will see you all then.